All right, everyone. Remember a few years ago when Obamacare was considered like, far left and, Bernie Sanders was the only voice in the wilderness talking about universal health care because people understood that that was socialism, number one, wouldn't work, number two, and really would, not overhaul and reform anything so much as cost a shit ton of money. Well, Bernie Sanders and, the rest of the Dem field other than Biden, they all appear to be for socialized healthcare in this country. Biden is the only one, I think, that's arguing against it. And he's saying, no, we can reform Obamacare further, but I support that. The exchanges and the hybrid mixed economy system whereby you have socialist side and sort of vaguely capitalist side interconnected. What I would say is I think that we should completely privatize, for the most part, the healthcare system. Government can certainly compete in the same marketplaces. If the government wants to offer plans to people on a marketplace for various things, catastrophic, basic care, dental, or whatever, that's fine. The government should be able to compete too in that field, because then you would at least have the federal or state governments would be able to offer plans to people who might be rejected on the others. And so that's okay with a direct subsidy, which is kind of similar to what we have now. But you need to lower the cost. The cost could be half of what it is now if you deregulated it a lot more. That's what we should be doing. Then you can offer that care. Everyone could afford it. The poor could get government health care plans that would take care of their basic needs, whereas before a lot of people didn't have any plan. And then people who want to purchase private insurance would by and large be able to do that without any problem. It'd be a lot cheaper. Biden is talking about we retain Obamacare. Every other Democrat has some various plan of Medicaid for all, socialist health care. I would point out, and this is the second time I've been doing this, for those that don't understand Vermont, Bernie Sanders, stuff like that, let me school you on something. Years ago, our state progressives said, we want universal health care in Vermont. We want to be the first state to guarantee health care to every citizen in the state of Vermont. Peter Shumlin was our governor at the time, far-left Democrat, not maybe socialistic like Sanders, but he's on the left. He's closer to a progressive than a business lib. I think he served a second term and then retired because he got forced out by the left. And here's why. He said, okay, we're not going to fly by the seat of our pants, though. We're going to commission a study, look into the cost, the impact, how to implement it. Okay. Progressives say, okay, that's fine. They give him $1 million to file the study. They had Jonathan Gruber, by the way, who embezzled almost $500,000 from our state and settled out of court with it, the architect of Obamacare. He came in to advise. Shumlin looked into it. They had various doctors, legislators, people from pharma, big healthcare, and the more of the co-op, hippie trippy side of it. I wonder if they had any homeopaths come in to talk to them about the need to administer love beads and orgone to people. Here's our orgonite farm. We'll be able to cure everyone in the state. We'll just put it up on Killington, and the good feeling rays will radiate down and cure everyone's cancer. That's what Williamson is going to require. Oh man, orgone treatments and acupuncture to be covered under healthcare plans. Mandatory. But they looked into it, they took a year and they studied it. Shumlin came out, and this is why he got kicked out of office. Here's the self-righteous twattery of the far left. Here you've got a liberal Democrat running the state. He comes out and says, we can't do it. It's impossible fiscally. It's too expensive. The amount of tax increases required in the state of Vermont to pay for this program is so astronomical, nobody would stay in the state. Even the rich would not be able to afford the tax rate. We can't do it. It's impossible. They screamed and hooted and hollered and drove him out of office and forced him to step down instead of seeking another term. Which is why now we have Phil Scott, who pretends to be a Republican, but he's a pro-gun control, big taxing liberal too. That's the kind of Republican we tend to have in this state. It's like we've got Vermont Republicans and then we've got pretend Republicans. The Vermont Republicans are actually really far right. People like Phil Scott, not so much. Very genteel, and they play nice with the liberal supermajority. You can't blame him on one end because he'd get kicked out of office if he didn't, I guess. Basically, we are a lock, stock, and barrel Democrat state where the Dem legislature pretends not to viciously hate part of the population. Anyway, we tried it. And Bernie Sanders is from Vermont, born in New York, but he's been representing Vermont since the 70s, since he came here to the UVM to teach or learn or whatever stupid shit he was doing. Anyway, he doesn't understand the situation. He and the other progressives turned a blind eye to the study that was done. They didn't want to listen to the numbers because it conflicted with their belief that it was a good idea for political reasons to supply shitty government healthcare to everyone. So they said, whoa, you should look for other ways to fund this program. You can't. It's fucking impossible. Bernie Sanders' healthcare plan, here's how the numbers balance out. You can see this in a PDF on his own fucking site with regards to this. Read his own literature. His own campaign literature says the following. This will be we can balance the cost of universal healthcare. It'll be a net zero, it won't increase the deficit or anything. Yes, we can pay for it. How though? The top marginal tax rate goes to 70%. Right now, what is it? 40-something. And although most of the rich people won't pay that, because that's a marginal tax rate, not an effective tax rate, this necessitates the increase of all lower brackets. It is common sense. There is no way in a graduated tax system to up the top tax rate, almost double it, without affecting the other brackets proportionally. That means that instead of me paying an effective rate of 20 or something, I'll pay an effective rate of 40. I'll be paying the same that a millionaire currently pays. I'm not a millionaire. What about your effective tax? Or you think, oh, well, you know, I'm not that well off, so it's okay. Trust me, you'll pay more. Fucking trust me, you'll pay more. And this is considered merciful by these fucking progressives. The math doesn't add up. If you read his own campaign release on the topic, it doesn't add up unless you assume that the lower brackets are dragged up. And then it also comes with a business tax increase as well, of like 3 or 4 points. Yeah, that's going to be great for business confidence, Bernie. That's not going to cause unemployment. That's not going to cause some businesses that are on the edge as far as profitability to fold. It's not going to cause 1 million, 2 million people to fall out of work. Why don't you explain to them how it's merciful to kick them out of their jobs and then give them shitty subsidized healthcare they'll probably still have to contribute to? And you can guarantee it'll be shitty. Bernie Sanders' idea, see, the idea of half of these far leftists is that they're going to eliminate private healthcare entirely. They say up and down, no, that won't happen, that won't happen. Bullshit! I'll tell you why it'll happen. Because any sane person of any means will purchase private healthcare. Because otherwise they're getting substandard material that'll probably be costly anyway. So they're not going to be paying into your Medicaid for all scam. So where are you going to get the money from? How are you going to subsidize the fact that most of the people on it will be dirt poor? How are you going to subsidize that outside of the exchange system you currently have that's mandate driven, and that's gone too now as of this next fiscal year? How are you going to subsidize it, Bernie? Oh, that's right, more taxes. Who's going to pay those taxes? People like me. More than half of the population will definitely see their taxes rise. I can guarantee the number of people that would benefit from Sanders' scam, which is what it is maybe the bottom third of the population. And that's being generous. It's probably more like the bottom 20%. Unless you are really, really impoverished. You get like, you know, you're living in a trailer with not even a 9-to-5 job making minimum wage and you got 4 kids. Okay, maybe the healthcare system will work for you. Otherwise, for the most part, it's not going to. And it's socialist. I mean, let's not mince words. The idea of eliminating private healthcare coverage would be a necessity. You're going to have to eliminate it because otherwise you won't have anyone from the middle and upper middle class paying into your scam. They're going to avoid it like the plague. I would not get government healthcare. I would get a private plan. Yes, I'd be willing to pay a little bit more in order to retain proper coverage and not deal with the bureaucracy and the fucking hoops and hurdles and red tape of government healthcare. Of course I would want that if I can afford it. So I wouldn't be paying into your system. Neither would anyone else who has any means. So your system would be insolvent, meaning you either raise taxes, or you, more than Bernie Sanders is even suggesting already, or you eliminate private health care. Biden is trying to point this out. He is the only sane Democrat on this issue, and Biden's demented. The only sane Democrat running, and their front runner, is an elderly man with early onset dementia, who slurs his words half the time, doesn't appear to know where he is. And he is the sane one within the Democratic Party. It's crazy talk. So fuck Bernie Sanders. Having to defend Joe Biden, really definitely a strange idea. But Biden is correct, yes. Yeah, Obamacare works better than the system that Bernie Sanders is suggesting. Trust me, the Democrats get power and they implement Medicare for all. The first thing that they'll do is go for private health care. The first thing that they'll do is they'll look at the numbers, say, well, it doesn't work, and we really don't need to increase the deficit by that much, because several trillion extra a year is a lot of money, will be insolvent very quickly. So we got 2 choices. Eliminate private health care, force everyone to pay in, so that we can take more money from, people. It's a de facto tax or a direct tax. we'll let them have their private health care, but we'll raise their tax rate another 5-10 points. That's what they'll do. And it'll be mainly be on the working class, the upper echelon of the working class, like people who have lower end blue collar jobs but are making a little bit more, maybe the managerial or something. Everyone from that rung, which is like, halfway between poverty and median, all the way up to people that are like double median, like the upper middle class, that general range, you'll be the ones paying for it. That's most of you watching this video. Most of you are in a situation where you will be paying in more than you will get out of it, even if it was subsidized by the tippy tops, as AOC likes to call them. It's a crazy idea. We tried it in this state and it failed. If Vermont, far left, rural, highly educated, and generally healthy as it is, can't implement universal health care without destroying its economy, what does that mean for the nation? By the way, no two states are alike. Is Bernie going to throw direct subsidies at the rural states? Bunch of Republican states in order to get them on board? Oh yeah! Where are you going to get that money from, Bernie? Where's that money going to come from? What discretionary spending are you going to cut? None of it, because of course he's a socialist. Oh, that means more inflation or more taxes yet again. It's amazing how it works. It's exactly how the system will operate. That's about all. Peace out.